Mike Carter is with us this afternoon. He is running for lieutenant governor as well, which I was unaware of. How are you, Mike?
Swell. How about you?
Good. So is it fair or accurate to describe you as sort of, because you mentioned when you wrote to me, you mentioned Ron Paul, you have him on the website, you sort of like the Ron Paul wing candidate. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'd say that's a comfortable statement, yeah.
Now, you're a St. Louis guy?
Yes, sir.
All right, give the quick bio here. And be careful because, I don't know if you've noticed, some of the candidates for lieutenant governor, Brad Lager, have left some key elements out of the bio, which they've been called on. But tell me your story.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I heard an interview you did, and I won't belabor it, but you're right. Yeah, I'm a director at the St. Louis Real Estate Board. I work for a warranty company called StopRepairBills.com. Run a real estate bent law office. Carter Law Offices is a family firm. We also have a criminal defense division. I worked at the Attorney General's office as a senior intern clerk and at Fleischman Hillard, Western District Court of Appeals in Missouri. Just a kind of a smattering of things I've been lucky enough to be a part of.
So why run for lieutenant governor?
It's an interesting office. I've thought that many times since the citizenry or the voters don't care or pay much attention to it, that if like a George Brett or a Mike Shannon or Joe Buck ran for the office, it would probably, on name recognition alone, win it out of hand.
I think they probably would, yes.
And so I've been trying to figure out a way for, 6 to 10 years to find an office that's like that if you could ascend to it by creating name recognition or a noteworthy idea or a platform, that you'd get in and you wouldn't have winks and nods. And, some of the contenders in this race have gotten $250,000 contributions, and any voter or any sane person would know that those things come with a tether that maybe no one fully comprehends or understands, but we suspect it. And if you could slip into an office like that, which does get a fair amount of media attention when they make pushes, as Kinder's done with health care and that, although he has no ability to do anything from an executive standpoint, you can draw attention to things that are kind of near and dear to you. And I would love to be able to do that and not have anybody with their hand in my pocket or my wallet.
So what would be the big issues then for you?
My main thing is keeping the government, out of our personal lives. It seems like it just creeps and creeps. There have been some neat rulings lately by the federal Supremes where the GPS tracking devices, the FBI was putting on some suspected criminals' cars and vehicles in the aggregate over time. Compiling a history of them was deemed to be something that should be done with a warrant and that. And I'm kind of happy about some of those things, but across the board, especially with the new health care push and the digitization, I guess, of all of our health care records and profiles and being put into a centralized repository by the government, those types of things just continue to bother me more and more. And then that kind of piggybacks on my pretty much adamant stance against red light cameras, where we've got a non-government entity contracted by the government to do our police enforcement, and also just cameras and eyes in the skies, and just those types of things are the most near and dear to me.
So, one of the difficulties in all of politics, and I think there would be a lot of appeal for a candidate to come in from the outside and not have all the influence that's discussed. I think, both parties talk about that. The problem is you have to raise money in order to compete, and I would guess that most people, not everyone, but most people don't know who Mike Carter is, and that makes it very difficult for you to actually get enough votes to even come close to being elected. It's just the political reality of it.
Well, because I'm pretty in touch with the Ron Paul circles, they're pretty diehard on most all the online polls. I have been winning, and we know those are suspect. But this is the day and age, if they don't overly, if the government doesn't get too involved in our internet, where regular citizens, kind of like Bruner has been talking. I don't know him personally, and if he's going to succeed in his citizen, politician push, but if it was ever going to occur, the past 11 years and then going forward the next 8 years will be the time that it potentially could. And if you could gain, the kind of momentum accidentally or reach a critical mass and slip into office via those methods, it would be, extremely interesting. And it's not, I don't think anybody would think that it's impossible. It's very improbable. But I've done it already once. In Wentzville, Missouri, I ran for judge against a 19-year incumbent. I sent out some robocalls, which I can do for next to nothing, did some online campaigning, and I won with 66% of the vote. Now, about 2,000 people voted. That's a lot easier. But I'm doing robocalls across the state now. I'll send out about 1.5 million. I'll make some dent. I took second place in the Democratic primary 4 years ago. I'm not a man of parties. I think that there should be no parties on the ballot, no R's, no D's, just the candidate, her or his name. They can belong to the parties all they want. That doesn't bother me. But it can be done if you can get the word out, and I've proven it before on a very small scale.
But you're running, just to be clear, because people have to choose a ballot, you're running as a Republican this time, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
And I share a lot from both platforms, kind of like Ron Paul. I mean, he bucked the system and caught a lot of I'm nowhere near the caliber of person that he is, but he has some views that fall outside of the paradigm normally attributed to the GOP, yet he's done, made some dents in some states, that's for sure.
I have to ask you, because you're Ron Paul, do you believe that 9/11 was an inside job?
No.
Okay, good. Whew. Man, because a lot of Ron Paul supporters do. Not everyone, though. Mike Carter, and the website is pretty easy. It's MikeCarter.com. He's running for lieutenant governor. Mike, thanks for coming on KMOX. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I had to keep that short. I'm not sure where we're going to put this, but Fred can let you know.
That's great. Thank you so much.
All right, cool. Thank you.
All righty.